presentation, I will talk about the snapshot of Laos and the current situation of the agriculture as investment. And Justin will share more on the ingredient of the agriculture responsible investments. So, to some of you might have no clue where is Laos. So, it's a small, tiny country located in Southeast Asia, border with China, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Myanmar. And Laos used to be on the world news and international media last few years. We used to be the strategic location for the Secret War, Vietnamese War. It was heavily bombed for over 10 years, starting 1964. And Laos is like the most heavily bombed country per capita in the world history. And up until now, about like 37 of the total land is the UX contaminated, and which is the area about like 8.7 million hectares. And this is because of death and also the injury. Today I got the news that they one explosion happening in Laos and caused the death of the young girl and five like kids in the northern part of Laos. And apart from that, it also creates some burden for the rural area people who like I call for 70 to 80% cannot engage those contaminated land and also surrounding for the agriculture activity to live down from the property. So President Barack Obama visited Laos last year, and he also granted like a $90 million for clean up the about over 10 million UX road. A lot of people are very happy on that. And for the investment context of Laos, I will just go into one point in the time limitation. And Laos is a one-party system like Vietnam and China, and we share, and also we're the landlocked country. So the key trading partner investment are from the neighboring country, like as China, Vietnam, and as well as Thailand. And for the investment, those neighboring countries invest heavily on the land-based investment, account for 2/3 of the total investment from 1989 to 2015. Electricity generation, mostly the hydropower plant, account for 29%, and mining 23%, and agriculture is 14%. And the converting land into the capital policy is introduced in 2006. It's one policy to create another opportunity for the agriculture investment. From the statistic from the Ministry of the Agriculture, about 3 million hectares is available land for agriculture. And up to 2010, early of that year, 1.1 million hectares have been leased and granted for the concession for investment activity. And up until from the year 2014, about 800,000 of land title have been given for the residential purpose and as well as lease for the investment activities. So last two slides telling show more or less about booming on investment on the land base. And however, due to the conducting of the proper way of conducting business of the private sector, together with the implementation gap and also the insufficient of the government to enforce enforcement, and the Laos government takes some serial action to suspend the new investment project. For instance, like in 2012, it suspended the license for the mining and as well as some of the agriculture project. And this year we're expecting another additional instruction for better managing the banana plantation and food crop. And the quality investment at the international level, Laos, the former president, we also joining the UN and also adopt the ASDG. At the national level, we also have the 5-year plan. So one element of that is the green growth. So that is the ministry of concern. Relating to that, we also try to have a clear understanding of that concept and try to put into work when we are screening, negotiating, and also approving and supporting investment project. And for the quality investment, we have perceived that to promote a better quality, so the quality investment shall create a very sustainable profit for 3 parties. For instance, a business should be through an income and job, the business, also from the government through like a taxes. And the kick-off of the responsible agriculture investment in 2015 is also try to be also aiming to be a good mix of the platform to promote the quality investment. And yeah, so I would like to invite Justin.
So now you have a good overview of where is Laos and what is the responsible investment context of Laos. Now I really want to zoom in on an initiative that involves multi-stakeholders. So here we have represented the Lao government, and I'm representing Lao civil society. And this initiative also involved researchers working in Laos and a couple of agroforestry companies in Laos as well. So as Puvong mentioned, this was the Responsible Agricultural Investment Working Group, and it was formed in 2015 in response to growing concerns and interest in promoting quality investment in Laos. So in Laos, there is no real space for dialogue and cooperation amongst the different sectors. It was very rare to see government and civil society sitting at the same table, let alone having investors sitting at the same table as well. So that's why this Responsible Agricultural Investment Working Group was formed. So the group was formed with support from an external donor called the Mekong Region Land Governance Project, or MRLG. And we had several goals. Just go through them quickly. The concept of responsible investment is still emerging in Laos. As you heard Puvong saying, the government is only just starting to promote quality investment. So we wanted to create a shared understanding of what is responsible investment, and we wanted to go beyond this notion of CSR or charity kind of embedded in business operations and work towards shared value. As I said, we wanted to create a new space. We wanted to build trust amongst the sectors. And the last two, we wanted to document good and improving practices of agribusiness companies that could then be shared and hopefully replicated by these less responsible investors. So what did we actually do in this Responsible Agricultural Investment Working Group? First of all, we co-hosted a seminar with the Ministry of Planning and Investment, and we brought in different investors to share how they're working towards responsible investment, and also invited government to talk about what is their future strategy for attracting quality investment into the country. Then this group of multi-stakeholders, so government, civil society, researchers, we all went down to southern Laos to visit the operations of two agribusiness investors. One is a coffee plantation and one is a eucalyptus plantation. So we got to see firsthand how each investor tries to implement these responsible investment practices. It was really interesting to talk to communities who were impacted by these investments, because in at least one of the investments, we saw that perhaps what they had said on paper didn't match the practice. So when we talked to the communities and the local authorities, we got to see this gap, which is what you were talking about as well. So we co-produced a series of case studies, which you can find in the GIZ booth downstairs. Sorry, I only have this copy to show. And because it was a co-production of knowledge, it took a very long time, and there was a lot of back and forth. The companies were involved in writing it as well. So it was a very interesting step for all of us, and it was new territory for all of us. So we found that really the product was less important than the process, even though the product is still very interesting, and I encourage you to read it if you want to know more. So through this process, through the Responsible Agricultural Working Group, we really focused on identifying what is the common ground amongst all of the stakeholders. And here are some of the key points that came out of the process. So sustainable development, economic benefits for not just the companies, but also the communities as well. Lowering business risks and less delays for the companies, avoiding conflicts, and clear and transparent processes and regulations, which is really coming from the investors. What they need is this certainty to invest in Laos and a level playing field. So they know the rules aren't going to change for one company compared to the other. So the working group really gave rise to a couple of new initiatives as well. As you can see, it built a relationship between civil society and government. We're here together, we're not enemies, we're working towards the same common goal of responsible investment. My organization, Village Focus International, we formed a partnership with one of the agribusinesses in the working group. And maybe some of you heard earlier today about what we're doing with them. These are some of the communications tools that we've designed with the company, and the company will use these when they go to try and explain their investment process to the villages. And of course, they're in Lao language. This is just the English translation. Quality investment promotion, I think Pulong already covered. This is a new initiative of the government, and they're hoping to work more with civil society. And thankfully, thanks to MRLG, there is another phase of the Responsible Agricultural Investment Working Group, where we want to focus on documenting small, medium enterprises. Last time we looked at these big multinationals who have a lot of time and resources to invest in responsible investment practices, but they're not the norm. So we really want to document these SMEs who are operating now. Okay, thank you.
Okay.